Hello, I'm Carrie and I am back with another pick a card reading. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, the pick a card reading is what is your path to generational wealth? So, right now, it's the new year. So much stuff is coming up on my YouTube about like making money and about like habits and choices and etc. Like, I love watching YouTube, by the way. And I love watching, especially like little short educational videos when it talks about kind of the decisions and things that people have done in the past. And I say people, I'm talking about like people who are very, very wealthy, like what decisions they made in the past, how it is that they got to their place or where they are now, the little small things that have helped them, etc., etc., etc. And that is what made me think about doing a reading like this about generational wealth. Because these are like generational wealth to me is not necessarily the money that we're passing down to our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. It's going to be the habits or the things that no one can take away from you, the things that like you start learning day one when you start growing up, like your habits, your character, your strength, like your inner strength and courage, like those things that your parents really instill and build up in you. And I don't know if you have paid attention in your family, but like there's just some things that you can see being passed from generation to generation to generation. It could be negative things, but if you really think about some of the positive things that are passed to generation, it's so funny. Like one thing about me is I have really good posture. I don't know why I have really good posture, but I just know that my mother has really good posture. And she told me that her grandmother taught her how to walk by putting a book on her head. She had to walk with a book on her head. So like her posture was great because of what her grandmother taught her. And my posture is great. My mom didn't put a book on my head, but I don't know, it's just natural for me to walk like this. When I walk into a room, people are like, whoa, who is that? Because it's just the way that I carry myself. And that's something that was passed down to me where I look like I belong everywhere that I go. So that's something that's like generational wealth. Do you understand? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, it can be money, and we're hopefully you're going to touch on some money things too in this reading, but I really wanted to talk about like these are the things that right now, if we're talking about making some changes in our lives and if we're talking about like passing things down to our children, legacy, etc. These are some of the things that we can be looking at to start building up our legacy, or not even start, but continue building up our legacy and pointing it at whatever direction that we want it to go in. So this is a pick a card reading. I have three piles here. This is pile one, pile two, and pile three. And I just want to say thank you so much for liking, subscribing, watching this. Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate it. And now I'm going to go ahead and get started here with pile number one. All right, pile number one, we're going to get started with what is your path to generational wealth. So for you, pile number one, these three cards are going to answer the question, who are you? And it's going to be in terms of generational wealth. When it comes to you and generational wealth, this is not the first time that you've asked this question. Like, how do I find my path to generational wealth? Where's generational wealth for me? Like, this is not going to be the first time that you have asked this question. As a matter of fact, I feel like you used to be involved in something. It was something that in my mind, it cut you, whatever that thing was. It was something in the past that was kind of difficult for you to do. Maybe you thought your path to generational wealth was like working really, 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 really hard. But because we've got the swords here, I'm even thinking about like you could have thought that your path to wealth was going to be like, I don't know, like fighting or like filled with conflict or like something that, I'm thinking about the streets. Y'all please excuse me because I don't really fight like that. But basically, like you may have been involved in something that you thought was like gonna get you out of whatever situation you were in, but it was gonna, or it already made you have to like fight or have to like struggle and go through some really hard times in order for you to get your goal. But you decided like, actually, this thing is too hard for me. It has taken more than I'm willing to give. It has cut me, it's done me wrong, it's done me bad, and I don't want to be involved in that anymore. So you decided that you were going to do something different, do something new. You're going to find a new way, basically. And I literally, with the High Priestess, I see you, pile number one, as it's like the energy of going back to school. It's so funny because this High Priestess card, normally if we think about the High Priestess, she's somebody who understands intuitively what the next direction is or what to do, or Maybe it's not even necessarily a decision that she makes, but it's like a movement, like a way in which she's moving, that she's not, there's like not a logical reason why she's doing this thing. But in this instance, in this spread, I really see the high priestess as you going back to school and you learning. It's like having access to more knowledge than you ever had before. And that's because you've gone back to school, if you've gone, or you started doing some research, or you started asking questions outside of like the people that you normally listen to. Say you grew up in a real small town in a small neighborhood, and there's a certain mindset that was prevalent there that you really couldn't get out of because you never knew anything better or saw anything better. This high priestess energy is going to be you moving to a bigger city and literally walking up into the library and seeing all the different books, all the different sections, literally. Like, look at these different sections, let alone the books that exist, but the sections that the books exist in. I never knew any of these categories were even available. Like that kind of energy of you, basically the world opening up for you because you decided to go back and like take a second look at what it is that you wanted your generational wealth to be. So if you resonate with this pile number 1, this is your pile for sure. And I'm going to get it. What is your path to generational wealth? Okay, pile number 1. So we've got Journey, 4th chakra, Archangel Raphael, and Storm Warning. So pile number 1, your path to generational wealth really involves, like, it's interesting. You may have thought that all the things that you've gone through in your past, like the struggle and strife that you've been through, the like decision that you made initially that you thought was going to take you somewhere that didn't, you may have thought that that was all in vain, that you kind of wasted your time, and it was like, oh man, why did I go through that? I could have been here, I could have been there, I could have did this and could have did that. You may have thought that that was all in vain, but what I'm seeing here from these 3 cards is that struggle that you have gone through is literally basically your pathway to generational wealth. So one of the things that this makes me think of is, it makes me think of like people who are able to survive. And I'm talking about people who can survive some very difficult things. Say for example, your ancestors, they had to go through war. Like literally they were fighting in a war, and their whole, like their life was never really stable because it was always like, okay, when are they going to come over here next? When are they going to kill us next? Or when are our supplies gonna come back? Like we don't have enough food, we don't have enough clothes, we don't have enough this and that. But your ancestors survived well enough for you to even exist. And because of that, there's like something inside of you that in situations like that, where it might be like extreme situations where you might not have everything that you think you need, but you're still able to make it and survive through. Like that's the type of energy that I'm feeling for you. So whatever the thing is, like the specific realm of what it is that you've gone through in your past, taking the lessons from that is what is you're going to pass down from generation to generation. That's not going to be the only thing, but when it comes to generational wealth, that's going to be a major thing. It's like, especially when I see this storm warning, it makes me think of what are those things, buffaloes, when they are walking around, when they're hurting each other in the pasture. I don't know what it is, but you know, buffaloes walk into storms because they know if they walk into the storm, they'll get on the other side easily, and they know that they're strong enough to survive it. That's going to be you and your family, like your grandkids and great grandkids. They won't be fearing things like this because they are going to have within them that confidence and that strength to know that no matter what comes my way, I can make it through. I can just keep walking forward and I'm going to make it to the other side. Like, literally, I just heard built different. Like you and your ancestors are going to be built different than everybody else. You know, people who haven't gone through any struggle at all. Not to say that this is not going to come with any financial benefits, but the key, and what I'm hearing, the key is you being able to take the lessons from any struggle that you've gone through and like pass those on. So for example, say you're an alcoholic, or there has been alcoholism around you. I feel like sometimes, especially now in this day and age, people don't talk about being an alcoholic or the alcoholics in their family, and they don't talk about the triggers, or they don't talk about the signs, and don't talk about like the impact it can have on the children. Like there's a lot of things that just don't go spoken about. They just get left unsaid, and then the child of the alcoholic starts to drink alcohol, not knowing and understanding that there is in their family a, what is it called? Like you have a higher likelihood of being an alcoholic or having that addiction to alcohol because of, like, it just runs in your family. But you, being someone who has survived that and who understands that, again, this is just an example. You survived and you understand, okay, there's an actual addiction in the family. I have taken my time and I've gone outside of myself and outside of, what I thought was true. And I took my time to understand alcoholism and addiction. And I understand that these are the things that trigger it. These are the things, like, if I want to have a good life, these are things that I need to not do. These are things that I need to do. These are the types of conversations that I have to have. This is how I need to be vigilant over myself and my body and my autonomy. This is how I need to show up in these situations. You know what I mean? Like, knowing that and being able to pass those things down to your family. Not being like, oh, no, alcohol is bad, you shouldn't drink alcohol. But being like, hey, in our family, this is the thing that happens when we drink alcohol. These are the signs to look for. You can look for these signs in other people as well. This is how you understand when it's an addiction and not. This is when you see it's a slippery slope. These are some of the triggers that I noticed really drive me to drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, being able to pass that down to your family, to the generation, to just go ahead and keep them out the mess so that they don't ever have to fall into that, and they can keep going further and further and further into different places that they've never been able to go because of this one thing that was kind of holding the entire family, the entire generation after generation after generation back. Again, when I was talking about the war and not being able to have certain things that were needed, like food and clothes and blah, 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 it's not that the people survived without, it's that they found other ways. It just kind of makes me think about slavery and how, previously enslaved people weren't given like the best food to eat or even things that were good for you to eat, but they made do. That's where like the chitlins came from, and like even gumbo. It's like, okay, we got some meat, let's go out into the swamp and figure out what kind of things that we can mix with it to make a whole meal. And that's not just a whole meal, that is a delicious meal. That's even gourmet these days. So that's the type of thing that's going to come for you when it comes to generational wealth. It's not doing the same things. Like, I'm going to give you this really terrible piece of meat. I'm going to give you, you can have the intestines of the pig. There you go. I'm going to give that to you to eat, which is, you would think that's not edible. That's like where the poop comes from. And then somebody comes up here and makes something that is so delicious that everybody's lining up to get it. You know what I mean? It's like being able to think outside of the box because of the things that you were given, because of the things that you have gone through. It is like some people think of this as a very tough path, but I really feel like you have the great the great ability to use your creativity to do something that people have never done before. That's what I'm getting from this high priestess energy and this storm warning. It's like when the times are tough, your lineage is going to be able to survive, and not only will they survive, they will thrive. That is where the generational wealth is going to come from. Okay, and then I want to get some cards of clarification, advice, cards of advice for this for you. So pile 1, I keep just getting the energy of like, you might just think things are just unfair for you. Like, man, I keep going through stuff. Why do I have to go through stuff? People around you may be succeeding. They may be getting everything that they ever wanted and wished for and dreamed for. But again, we're talking about generational wealth. So we're talking about things that you're going to be passing on and passing forward. And I feel like you're one of the torch carriers, in that you're like the one who's like, it's very important for you to talk about the things that you've gone through and talk about like the solutions that you came up with as you were going through those things, or talk about like, I decided not to do this because of these things. It was hurting me, and this is how it was hurting me. This is the solution that I figured out how to get out of this, and this is how I actually healed my heart from the pain that I've gone through. Like, this information right now, it might just seem like information to you, but down the line, it's going to be so very, very valuable so very valuable to you and your family. Like, you're going to have information that other people just don't have, and it's not only are you going to have it, but it's literally like stored in your DNA that you're passing on. You might be saying, I don't have kids. Like, that's fine. Your legacy is also going to speak for itself. Even the stories that you tell are going to keep going forward. You got memories, emotions, and keep the faith. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was just saying now. It's so funny. I was like, I didn't even get to look at the cards, and I was like, this is what's happening. those memories, those emotions, like those are the things that you're passing on. Like literally, sometimes the words that come out of your mouth, we don't understand how powerful they are. But your perspective as you speak it out of your mouth, it is so incredibly powerful. Just your opinion on things, because you, again, you may have been through things other people haven't gone through, or the things that you've gone through, other people have gone through, but they don't see it in your way. They don't have the same perspective as you. They don't have like that, like sometimes there's so many stories that I hear that are the same old sad song. And I'm like, I'm so over this sad song. If y'all don't turn this into a happy song, like, yes, you've been through some pain, but what, like, look at you now. Like, I'm always thinking about the other side of the pain, because I know that we don't go through nothing for no reason. So what's the other side of the pain? Where is it that you've what have you gained from those things that you've gone through? It could be someone like that who understands, like, yeah, there's a lot of pain, but what's on the other side? What have I gained? What do I know now? What do I know for sure now? You know, nobody can gaslight me into thinking this, that, and the other thing. I'm so strong, and I'm going to pass that down to my ancestors. I'm passing down to my kids, or even the people who I'm around, who I teach, who I speak to. I'm going to pass that on to, so that they will know. And this keep the faith card is that, like, I really feel like nobody, what was I watching today? I don't know. I was watching something today about it was just a random video on YouTube. It was a grandmother. She had some really, really long hair, but it looked like on, like, towards the ends of her hair, she had quite a bit of damage that should be cut off, right? And the beautician was like, "Can I cut your hair? I see some damage here." And she was like, "My mama told me that nobody can cut my hair whose hair is not as long as mine." And she said, "And don't ever ask me again." But she told the beautician that because that's what her mother told her. And it makes sense, because there are people out there who will mess up your hair just because their hair can't be as long as yours. Like, there's some things that she's being protected from, because she's not allowing anyone who hasn't been, basically, who hasn't been where she's been, to even touch her hair. Like, no, your hair is not as long as mine. You haven't gone through what I've gone through. You can't even touch my hair. And I just kind of feel like it gives, the types of things that you're going to pass on are going to give your ancestors the confidence to be able to say something like that. Like, this is what my mama said. Don't ask me again. Okay, pile number one. That is your key to generational wealth. It could be a little bit difficult because I'm talking memories and emotions. Sometimes we want to lock them things up and never go back and look at those again. But that is where your generational wealth is going to be. And if you can be strong enough to really sit there and unpack every single little thing that has happened and figure out what are the golden keys to those things. Like, okay, what did I learn in? Yes, 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 the pain, but what did I learn? Where is the wealth in here? Where can I find it? And that is what's going to really help you help your ancestors. And I just got a thought of, like, even reading, I was talking about some things like people going through war in the past, slavery in the past, really reading and understanding the gifts that happened because of those things. Yes, there were a lot of terrible things, but if we pay attention to what came out of those things, that can help us see where our generational wealth is going to lie, or help us find it. All right, I'm going to go on to pile number two. Okay, pile number two. Here with your reading on what is your path to generational wealth. First, though, I wanted to answer the question, who are you, especially when it comes to generational wealth. And pile number two, for you, I feel like for you, you're someone who is kind of new when it comes to generational wealth. Like, it might not have been something that you've really thought about before, or in particular, like your family, they may not have set you up in the best way for you to start acquiring or developing generational wealth. Like, you know how the grandpapa, I don't know why I said that. Maybe you say grandpapa or grandpappy. You know how the grandfather, like, makes money and then he passes it down to his son, and then his son passes it down to his son. Like, that might not have happened for you. You might have just passed down a whole lot of nothing, which, that's something that happens a lot of the time. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to deal with money. This, especially for you, I'm kind of getting like the energy of confidence. Like, you don't really have a direction in life because, as a kid, when your parents are supposed to tell you that you're doing a good job and that, you're excellent just because you're you, and that they love you, and that, even though you make mistakes, you're still lovable. I feel that you weren't really told that as a child. And so you right now are still figuring that kind of thing out so you can understand which direction in which to go. And pile number two, that's not a bad place to be. It's not at all, because you get to it's like you get to build your life in according to how you want it to be, and not according to your parents or your grandparents or like whatever parental figure is raising you. It's like, you know what? This is who I want to be. So I'm going to be that person. I'm going to create myself in my own image, basically. So that is who I feel that you are, pile number two. As a matter of fact, you might be somebody who is also a little bit of I won't even say emotional, but you could constantly chase love or chase highs. Like, oh, is love over here? I'm going to go over here. What about over here? Is love over there? Like, you might constantly start over or make decisions based on like your emotions. Like, oh my God, I'm so in love with him. I'm going to move in with him. I'm going to drop everything for him. Like that kind of thing. Again, that's not necessarily a bad place to be. It is just, I feel like it's a figuring out of yourself. Because if you're able to drop everything to be with somebody and like recreate your life based on this person, then you are the magician, like it's saying here in this spread. You're the magician. You're able to just boom, create something because you have the four elements. I think you might be focused on the outside part of like, look at this person, but you're not focused on the inside part of you, as in, I'm the magician. I can recreate, rebuild my life to be around this person. When this person is not there, I can rebuild my life when I'm by myself again. I don't think that you understand your gifts just yet. But again, that is going to be a part of you creating that generational wealth for yourself. All right, so we answered the question of who you are. Next is, what is the path to wealth? What's your path to wealth? Generational wealth. I'm just going to set these cards up. All right, pile two. Your path to generational wealth. We have financial constraints, angel of love, and then adjacent possibilities. So for you, yes, financial constraints is right under here underneath this Ace of Cups. And again, this is the energy I was talking about before, where you might not have got a lot of things passed down to you. This cabinet is empty. It's got maybe a few little things in it, but it's got a lot of little cobwebs in there. So it might not be really a source of wealth for you. So when we're talking about your family, again, this reading isn't necessarily about money. It could be, like I was saying before, about confidence, about love for yourself. Because those are the types of things that if you have within you, you will feel like you can do anything or conquer any challenge. But if you were never given those things or given the opportunity to like really express yourself and who you truly are, it would be difficult for you to go forth and pursue your dreams that are going to lead to your financial wealth. So that's just something I like to make sure to harp on. Either way, it feels like you weren't given what you needed in the beginning of your life. But again, that's not a bad thing, because we have the angel of love showing up here in the middle. This is you. Like, I'm going to look at these two, angel of love and financial and adjacent possibilities together, because this is literally you figuring out who you are, figuring out what you are worth, figuring out what you're capable of. Like, there's all of these opportunities that are going to allow you to figure that out. Again, pile number two, these opportunities won't necessarily be like internships and somebody just being like, hey, I see something in you, come over here and I'm gonna help you. It might not show up like that for you. You literally might have to make a whole bunch of decisions. Some of those are gonna be right, some of those are gonna be wrong, some of those are gonna be, and I say wrong as in you gonna be like, you know what, I wish I never would have went through that door. But you're gonna learn something from either any little things that you try, any little opportunity that you try. And I see for you, pile number two, you are gonna do, like, you're gonna do a lot. I feel like you're somebody who wants to find yourself. Maybe not even find yourself. You might be looking for love, because we have the angel of love up here and the Ace of Cups. You could literally be led by love. It's like, okay, is there love over here? All right, is there love over here? Is there love over there? Is there love there? Is it through that door? Is it through that door? And once you make, like, if you literally go through all of these doors, you're going to make your rounds and you're going to figure out where love is and where love isn't. And maybe you even figure it out that it's always with you wherever you are. And it's up to you whether or not to stay in these situations that don't show you or bring you love. I feel like that is something that is hugely important to pass on generation to generation, especially if it was something that was not passed on to you. I see sometimes, just in my everyday life, of how people show up in love, but it is love that is barely tolerable for the people who are around them, right? They think that that's love, and they think that that's loving and that they're loving someone, but it's really control, it's really anxiety, it's anger, it's all these other things, or fear, you know what I mean? that they are mistaking for love. You, pile number 2, are going to be someone who actually figures out what love is, how to show up in love, how you would like to receive love. Self-love for sure is something that you're going to learn and discover, and that's going to help you as you move forward in your generational wealth. It literally might be the thing that you pass down to your kids. Like, I wasn't loved properly. Nobody showed me the way. But I know now what love is because I've gone on this journey to figure it out. I've literally had to kiss frogs and worms and squirrels. I don't know what you had to kiss or what you had to do to figure out what love is or what you're even doing at this time. But I really feel like this is something that you're going to pass on and pass forward. And imagine love was currency and you knew, like, you literally knew the code to embodying and being love at all times. It's like you being wealthy, embodying wealth at all times. Love is currency. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but love is definitely something that we need in this world. I feel like it's not enough of. So imagining being and embodying love and being able to just exist in that no matter what environment or where you are, and how wealthy and valuable that is. Yes, it is not like directly financial, but that does not mean it cannot be transformed into money. Think about people whose energy is so good to be around that you literally would pay money just to be in their presence. I know people who are like that. There are people who I like to call healers. So there are people who, like, say, example, they do Reiki or they do readings or they literally are like counselors. They're people that you go to when you need help, when you need love, and you know they always have something to give. I kind of feel like that's the energy for you, pile number 2. So now let's get some advice on how to get there. Let me set up the 3 cards. All right, we've got grief work, sentimental feelings, and parental care. Yes, pile number 2. This is going to be all about you. Basically, I just heard circle back around. Compassion, that's a big thing. Think about compassion. So we were talking about, like, maybe in your past, your parents, grandparents, whomever did not pass anything down to you, including like how to love and how to be there for somebody and how to, care for somebody properly, as in like how to help build a child's self-esteem, how to build them up and not down, like that type of energy. And so you might have gone through some very troubling things in your childhood, so much so that it might make you want to blame your parents. But if you really like sit there and kind of trace it back, like trace it backwards. Did your parents know how to love properly? No, because probably their parents didn't know how to love properly. And then trace it backwards again. And then what about their parents? Did they know how to love properly? Like, if you can trace it back, or even it could be helpful too to like read and understand like some of the patterns that you see. Maybe if it's like narcissism or like emotional unavailability, there are certain books out there that can really show you and teach you where those patterns are developed or how those patterns are developed, and kind of help you understand like it's not that they just didn't love you. It's just that they did not know what they were doing because nobody taught them. And then the people who did teach them actually taught them some things that were really not helpful. And if you trace it back, you can see the generational wealth that was passed forward. But that wealth, quote unquote, is not something that you want. Like, actually, I don't want that. Y'all keep that. This is something different that I want. So you can basically start from there. Start with understanding and forgiving your parents, grandparents, going back down the line and understanding like this is what we learned. This is where we got this from. These habits and patterns are what we've developed. But they're not going to cut it anymore. This is the type of stuff I want now. This is what I want that's better. So it's basically you having to go back and trace those things. I don't say have to, but it would be very helpful for you to move forward. It's kind of like a course correction that you're going to do. You're going to do the course correction that allows you to basically move forward and do better than your ancestors were able to do for you. But just like Pile 1, I don't know if you came from that or you watched Pile 1, just like Pile 1, even though there's all this grief and sadness that's going on and all this, maybe devastating things that have happened to you in your childhood. Also, when you're going back and looking, make sure you look for the gifts that have come from that as well. Hopefully there are some gifts there too, so that you can carry those forward as well. And it could literally be the strength to go through a lot of stuff. Like, I'm strong because I know all the things that I've gone through. I am seeing this magician card in my mind. I really think a huge part of your generational wealth is understanding that you're able to create Like you are the magician. If you're not very much into tarot, I would suggest to like look up the magician card and understand how powerful that card is. It is not the first card, but it is number one. The first card is the Fool, but number one is the Magician. It's kind of like having all four elements. It's being able to create whatever you need to create. It's like being an alchemist, basically. And understanding that that is you. You have that power. And understanding that you can create from nothing because you have all four elements. You can create from nothing, from thin air. You can build and create this love. But what it would be helpful for you to do is go back and let go of all the things that are stopping you from creating that love. So that's where the grief work and the sentimental feelings are going to come from. If you're feeling sad or upset, if you want to like fight, if you, if you have all of these feelings, it's going to be difficult for you to walk the path forward to forgiveness, walk the path forward to loving and healing yourself, let alone others, let alone your children, because you don't want to fall into the same patterns that the people who have, not given you enough in the past have. You want to make sure that all of that is healed in you so that when you move forward, you can start growing and developing this love that is going to be like, imagine if your parents had loved you so strongly. Do you know where you could be right now? So imagine if you're the one who does that, who loves that person or whomever it is. If it's not your child, if it's your lover, if it's even your siblings or your parents, being able to lift them up in love and show them that they can fly, show them that they're the magician as well. If you're able to show them that, do you know how far people can go if they just had one person to believe in them, let alone somebody who like just loves them and wants the best for them? Just believing in somebody can literally change their whole lives. There's so many stories about kids, like, kids in school. They had that one teacher who believed in them, and that changed the trajectory of their entire lives. So for you, I feel like this is the type of power you have, not for only yourself, but for others as well. But you would need to go through this path here. You could have already gone through this path here, but you might not see it as wealth. And it's not something, because we're talking about generational wealth, it might not be something that shows up immediately, You can't go out and just give the speech and then boom, you get the money. I mean, you could, but it's like things that are going to come back for you because of the things that you've done, the work that you've put in, the praise that you've given, the words that you speak over others, the love that you put out there in the world. It's going to come back to you. It's going to come back to your family members. It's going to come back to the people who you love and care about, who you nurture. And pile number 2, that is your key and your path to generational wealth. All right, I'm going to move on to pile number 3. Okay, pile number 3. This is your reading for what's your path to generational wealth. First, though, I want to get the answer to the question, who are you? So we can know specifically who are you that's going to be pursuing this path to generational wealth, just to help you see whether or not you resonate with pile number 3. Pile 3, you work hard. This Knight of Wands, I feel like you constantly going, chasing, running. Like, I see fame and fortune because we have the devil here as well. That's fortune. I feel like the wands are about fame. But the Page of Swords here, it kind of makes me think that you haven't been able to get very far. Or you don't feel like you've made it far up the ladder. Like you don't feel like you're the king at all. You kind of just feel like it's giving the energy of struggle. Like you put in a lot of work, but you haven't really gotten much out of the work that you've put in. So you be feeling that way. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to do with money, but I really do see fame and fortune here. So that might be something that you're pursuing. You can be somebody who's like, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be famous. Like you've tried acting, and you feel like you're pretty good at it, but really you're not getting far. You're not getting those opportunities. You're not being able to like be put up on that platform. Like you haven't been elevated at all. And you don't really understand why, because I feel like I feel like you're pretty intelligent. I feel like you're pretty good. You're probably really beautiful. Like you have everything that you would need in order to succeed in this thing that you're trying to do. Like say, for example, it was acting, or maybe you want to be a pilot, or maybe you want to be, like I really kind of see, especially with the Knight of Wands, something that is pretty public facing. So like, where people would see and notice you. Maybe you want to be a influencer or something like that. But you're just not making it very far. You might feel like you're struggling. You might not understand, like, why is this not working out for me? But I kind of feel like here, especially because the Knight of Wands is facing this way, I kind of feel like you're going in the wrong direction. Pile number 3, I got to tell you, I don't know. Maybe you feel like that. I'm going in the wrong direction. Why is this not working out for me? I don't know. So if you resonate with this, this is your reading. let's get the answer to what is your path to wealth. What is your path to generational wealth then? We've got these 3 cards. Let me just organize it better. Also, I'm hearing the song Superpower by Beyonce and Frank Ocean. If you resonate with that, please listen to it. Might be some lyrics there specifically for you. All right, so we've got the Thinking Woman, Angel of Strength, and the Temple Path. So this is just reminding me, especially with this Page of Swords sitting here in the middle. It's like you really feel like, hey, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I should be at the top right now. Why aren't I at the top? Like, I put in my work. I got the degree I'm supposed to have. I married the person I was supposed to marry. Like, I networked with the people I was supposed to network with. Like, what's up? Where is my money? Where's my coin? Where's my, success? I feel like you're kind of just really looking like, trying to figure out why it's not happening for you. And what I feel is that it's because it's not supposed to happen. At least not in that way. There's something else that you are being called to do. Like, there's another path for you, which is why I'm seeing this temple path, and literally it is the temple path. So you might have some spiritual gifts, or you might have like a gift in particular. Like, you could be a medium. What if you're like a psychic medium? What if you are like, you could be a super empath or something, and it really helps you when you act. Again, if we are giving the example of you being an actor, you being an empath really helps when you act, because you're able to embody the characters very well. But actually, that gift of being an empath, which you are honing by acting, is going to be something that you use as a psychic medium, or as a tarot reader, or as, say, someone who is like a healer. That can be like your gateway to helping to heal other people by understanding what's going on with their body, because you feel it immediately when you walk into the room. You're like, oh, they're not happy. They got something in their heart right there. Ooh. But you don't say anything about it, or maybe you're not even realizing what you're feeling at the time. I'm just kind of getting for you, pile number 3, your path to generational wealth. And this is, again, going to be something that you pass down from your generation to generation. Isn't really going to be chasing after anything at all. Like, I really feel like if you're going to be chasing something, it's going to be your spirituality, or becoming more centered within yourself. This Angel of Strength card, this strength is a type of strength that I feel like we don't always see very often, which is like the strength to overcome. It's like things that you cannot see or control. I normally don't see that when I look at this Angel of Strength card, but I really feel like what the Angel of Strength is talking about, or sometimes it can be talking about your subconscious. It can be like your subconscious desires. It can be like not allowing the animal within you to take over a rule. I don't know. Not going and acting upon your like base instincts, but like actually being very, mature and an evolved person, and not allowing yourself to act on those base instincts. But here for you, I really feel like this is you using your base instincts, like you being so in touch with yourself as a human being, understanding like, ooh, this base instinct is speaking to me and it's telling me this thing. This is the information that I'm using moving forward. This is the information that I use to heal people. This is the information that I'm getting. Like, you would have to be comfortable, like with your subconscious, understanding even those little small instincts that kind of pop up that don't make any sense. I remember when I started like doing womb healing, I could not understand my womb. My womb spoke a different language. A whole completely different language, and for me it was primitive. Like, the language was primitive. It was difficult to understand. I'm like, just use English. Speak clearly. But no, the language of my womb, and this is specific to me, it was just something that was difficult for me to understand. So I really had to go back. I really had to go like, okay, let me think about the womb and what purpose my womb has. Let me help or try to understand why it would speak this type of language that actually makes me very uncomfortable. Like, I really had to, I don't know, deep dive within my own body to see what I felt. And I had to just keep trying to understand, keep opening my mind and expanding myself. keep loving myself through whatever it was that was coming up. You know what I mean? And I feel like for you, it's the same kind of thing where you're understanding parts of yourself, aspects of yourself that normally people, they don't even communicate with. At least not consciously, but you're going to be consciously communicating with those parts of yourself. So much so that you're going to be able to do it and help other people as well. Very strong message that I'm getting coming through for you. But your path to wealth is going to have to do with you being comfortable in your own skin, being more centered in your body, and allowing that to kind of guide you and lead you when it comes to not only the decisions that you make, but like your everyday, like your daily life. Even for you, I kind of get the energy. You might not even be having a 9 to 5. You might have a spiritual practice type of thing. Like you might be your own business owner, or like work with a team or something. I really just don't see you chasing like fame and fortune like I see up here. Something that you're wanting to do. Even like you could be someone who works in healthcare, but sometimes in healthcare there are doctors or people who are looking to just make money, you know, giving surgeries or doing things that are not really necessary to do, but it's like, oh, this is a check, let me recommend this. Like you are really going to be helping people to heal by saying like, you don't need surgery, you need to make this change in your life, you need to change your diet in this way, you need to do this and that and the other. Try this herb, you know what I mean? Like you would just be approaching things differently. So even if you're not completely changing your career or the thing that you do, you're going to be doing it in a way that is more spiritually based. It's not centered around money. It's not centered around popularity. It's not centered around anybody else's opinion but your own. You're just going to be so in touch with yourself and like your divinity, your spirituality. Like this is the right thing to do. This is the right direction to go in. That is what you're going to be using for your like as your path to generational wealth. And again, we're passing this down on to our children, to our children's children, etc., etc. Even if it's not our kids, if we don't have children, it can be the people around us, the legacy that we want to put forth out there. It's really going to be you speaking the truth, speaking up, and being able to, I don't know, like tap into stuff that maybe people are not tapping into or talking about. Even when it comes, like, again, with healthcare, I keep hearing that again, like, things that are going on in people's bodies. You think about the dogs that can smell sickness or cancer or whatever. Like you might have that skill, and it might literally be something in your family line. Like maybe some weird thing that your grandfather or grandmother did, and you were always like, "Oh my gosh, grandma, don't be all up on these people," you know, telling them what's going on in their lives, and then you realize that you have the same exact ability, but you just were so embarrassed when your grandmother would, you know, be like, hey, they got this, something wrong with them, or stay away from that person because of this and that. But you have that same skill and you never really tried to like nourish it and harness it for yourself. But that's something that you can not only harness for yourself, but you can pass that down. And that can be something that can literally help your family from generation to generation to generation. Like imagine being a doctor whose patients always have a 100% recovery rate, because you don't just use science, you use your intuition, and you understand, like you thoroughly understand the issue. It's like literally being an artist when it comes to your profession, not just getting the check, but really being specific and artistic about it. Like getting in there, knowing and understanding every single little aspect that you can. And even that work ethic being passed down to your children or the people who you're influencing over can be major. And so now let's get some advice on how to get there. Got 3 more cards. I love it. We got courage and angel of strength, retirement, and spiritual growth. Okay, so this really speaks to what I was just talking about, like needing to get to know yourself in a way that you might not feel comfortable with. Again, it could be something that maybe your grandmother or your grandfather or your parents have done, in terms of like, man, why my mom always look at people like this? She look like she's staring into their souls and she creeps people out, da da da. But you have the same exact ability, but you just decided not to use it because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed by my mom or whomever it is in your family. But if you really harness that within yourself and use that gift and stop trying to be, you know, like other people. That's what I see up here. You're doing things that other people have done just to succeed. Stop trying to do that and really focus in on your own gifts, skills, and abilities. That's what's going to bring forth your wealth. That's the advice on how to get there. But you would need the courage to do that and pursue that. You would need the courage to trust yourself and your gifts, because if you stay in the same situation that you are in, you're not going to be able to, I won't say you won't be able to. It's just not the direction in which is best for you when it comes to your generational wealth. It's like, again, like I saw the energy of you going in the wrong direction. There's a new direction that you can go in, and it's going to cause you to retire from what it is that you're doing now. Maybe not the thing that you're doing, but perhaps the way in which you're doing it. Like it can even be the things that are driving you to do that thing. Again, instead of fame and fortune, it can be, okay, what is right within myself to do? What do I feel strongly about? And that could literally be you going against everybody else that you know. You're having completely different opinions from everybody that you know. Like you have to go up against the smartest person you know and say, I don't agree. That's going to take a lot of courage, but that's what you're being called to do. And then I see spiritual growth. A lot of the times when I think of spiritual growth, I just think of kind of like you going to school and like spiritual school. But this is an internal school in which you're just learning more and more and more about yourself. But when I look at spiritual growth here, I'm thinking expansion, which I guess is the same as you learning more and more and more about yourself. But I really feel like it's expansion spiritually. Like you can literally be somebody, if you're watching this Power 3, imagine, this will be funny. You can be somebody who does not have a spiritual practice at all, who does not believe in spirituality, that you're somebody who might just want facts, facts, facts. Like, if it ain't facts, I don't want it. Don't give me no, intuition stuff. I'm not into that. Like, you could be somebody who is like that, and you're watching this reading like, this lady talking about me giving up my career that I've been in for 20 years, even though I'm not where I want to be yet. I know I could get there eventually, just to pursue something that's based on spirituality. What? But it's like you expanding your mind to allow that in your life. Imagine what can happen, like what can change within you. And if you've been in this career for however many years and it's not working out for you, why not? Like, why not try something new? Why not make a change? Why not, like, get out there and see what else is out there? This thing isn't working. Yeah, you put so much time and energy into it, but I feel like, what can it hurt? Try something new. Baby steps, of course. I wouldn't recommend just quitting. I mean, I know people who have done that, myself included, but it's a new way of doing things is what I would recommend. I would recommend looking into that, trying to figure that out. Like if I say a new way of doing things is something is like in your mind, like, maybe like this, I would hope that you would go and explore that and not just shoot it down. Like really opening up your mind and allowing your intuition to lead you instead of facts and figures. And this is the path that everybody else took. I should take that too. Like, no, that might be their key to generational wealth, but yours is going to be completely different. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, this is like how I'm going to get rich now. I'm talking about the stuff that you're going to pass down and forward. Like your gifts, your something in the Bible about, I want to say something about a Bible verse, but I cannot remember it. But maybe you know this Bible verse. Maybe it's triggering you. But yes, whatever Bible verse you're thinking about right now, that's the one. The chickens are confirming, but they are very annoying. Anyway, pile number 3. This is your path to generational wealth. Good luck. Please leave me a comment if this is something that resonates. Okay, I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, pile 3. I was sitting here clearing up the cards, and their rooster was like, hey, actually, I got a message. And it was just basically reminding me of when I was starting my life over. Really wanting to pursue my spiritual goals and I wanted to learn more about my spiritual gifts. And I had to quit everything that I was doing. I had a great career, had a nice house. Like my house, I built it to be exactly how I wanted it to be. Everything was perfect. Everything was well put together. I even had, I had everything. All my group of friends, like everything was, like my life was nicely organized, like in a way in which you would think it would be something that someone would want to stay in. And somebody who was going to be successful would have that type of life. But I needed to drop everything in order for me to go on this new journey, because if I didn't, it was kind of like the things that were holding me there in that space those 4 pillars, if you think of like a house, those 4 pillars, I had to knock them over so that I could rebuild. It was too difficult for me to start again in that same situation. So I had to knock the pillars over and rebuild. I think that that's important for somebody to hear. Hopefully this does resonate with you. Pile number 3, if you're understanding what I'm trying to say in this reading of like wanting to basically leave everything behind that you've already known, like having the courage to do that. I'm somebody who has done that. It has been difficult, but I gotta tell you, I had the time of my life. I'm still having the time of my life. Whereas before I may have had money and all this. I've had my own house, my own this, that, the other. Everything that you're supposed to have, right? Supposed to have. But I was not happy at all. And so I just want to say to you, pile 3, if you're feeling that way, yes, pursue something different, pursue something new. You don't have to drop it all at once, but just understanding like the 4 pillars, the things that I was basing my life on were not correct. I needed to knock those over so that I could understand, find out, and basically create my own way, my own 4 pillars. And that was my spiritual beliefs. My spiritual beliefs before were based on fame and fortune, whereas now they're based on me. The things that I believe in, the things that I know to be true. Okay, pile number 3. I hope that resonates. See you in the next one.